Some coins vanish in the blur of everyday use, spent and forgotten within moments. But others, quietly, without warning, escape the norm and become time capsules of error, history, and astonishing value. The 1975 Jefferson nickel is one of those coins. For decades, it lived in silence, passed through countless hands until a few keen-eyed collectors noticed what nobody else did. And what they found would challenge expectations about modern minting, rarity, and what one ordinary-looking nickel could truly be worth. In the autumn of 1975, the Denver Mint was in high gear. The economy was recovering, inflation was high, and the demand for coinage surged across the United States. The Jefferson nickel, consistent in its design since 1938, continued to be produced by the millions. Most were flawlessly struck, carefully inspected, and sent out for circulation. But somewhere along the line, amid the noise and pressure of mass production, something unexpected slipped through. Something the machines didn't catch. Decades later, a retired electrical engineer named Walter from Colorado Springs was spending more time with his lifelong hobby of coin collecting. With patience forged from years of detailed work, he picked through old rolls from local banks and estate sales, looking for misaligned dies, clipped planchets, and doubled images. He had no reason to expect anything unusual from a 1975 nickel, until one peculiar coin made him pause. The obverse looked off. Jefferson's profile was clear, but the lettering around him didn't seem quite right. Under a magnifying glass, Walter saw it clearly, doubling. Not just faint echoes, but strong, shelf-like doubling on the words, "In God We Trust," and "Liberty." The date, 1975, had what looked like a shadow behind it. He turned it over. Monticello on the reverse had its steps unusually distorted. The letters in Monticello and 5 cents appeared stretched, with faint trails beside them. And most strikingly, the D mint mark was heavily misaligned. But that wasn't all. He weighed it. The standard nickel should come in at 5 grams. This one came in well under, just under 4.8 grams. That suggested a potential planchet error, or even a wrong metal blank. And though the variance was minor, every tiny inconsistency added fuel to the fire. He submitted the coin to a respected grading service. The results came back with a confirmation he never expected: strong obverse doubling, reverse die wear, off-center D mint mark, and an underweight reading. But then came the real shock. The coin appeared to have been struck on a transitional planchet. While not officially confirmed as a wrong metal error, the weight, color tone, and texture suggested it may not have been a standard cupritical blank. The collectors' forums exploded with debate when the story surfaced. Some believed it to be a misfeed using a leftover foreign coin blank. Others speculated a blank intended for another denomination was mistakenly loaded. Still, others insisted the coin was the result of extended die use, misalignments, and poor quality control, all rare to see combined in one piece. More examples began to trickle into view. A 1975 nickel with weak reverse strike and doubling fetched $22,000 at a private auction. Another, slightly off-center and underweight, sold for $31,000. Each new example deepened the mystery, as none were identical. Some showed doubling without planchet errors. Others had clean strikes but the wrong weight. The Denver Mint had no record of transitional blanks for nickels in 1975, yet the evidence kept surfacing in collectors' hands. A collector in Arizona found one with a clean off-center strike, partial collar error, and noticeable rotation, selling it later for nearly $49,000. It seemed as if the 1975 nickel had become a collector's code to decipher, a layered puzzle hidden behind an ordinary date and familiar face. And the twist? One coin was discovered to have been overstruck on a previously minted coin. Traces of another design were visible beneath Jefferson's face, a ghost image barely peeking through the copper-nickel surface. This coin shocked numismatists. If verified, it would be one of the few known double denomination errors from that year, a mistake so rare it defies probability. Today, the 1975 D. Jefferson nickel has become a quiet legend among coin hunters. Its value lies not in just one specific error, but in the convergence of multiple anomalies: doubling, min-mark misplacement, planchet weight variation, off-center strikes, and rare overstrikes. Each piece carries its own fingerprint. Some look nearly normal until viewed under magnification. Others scream with visual errors even to the untrained eye. Collectors now hunt the 1975 D nickel with purpose. What was once dismissed as a mundane date has transformed into a minefield of minting oddities. Dealers report increasing demand. Auction houses watch closely when one appears. And those lucky enough to find one? They know they're holding more than metal. They're holding a mistake-turned masterpiece. Depending on the severity of the error, the condition of the coin, and its specific anomalies, a 1975 D US 5-cent Jefferson nickel can now command between $15,000 and $259,000. A reminder that sometimes, the smallest slip at the mint can create the greatest prize for those patient enough to look. In the spring of 2000, the Philadelphia Mint was producing Jefferson nickels at full speed. The economy was on the edge of a digital revolution, yet the need for physical currency remained strong. Millions of 5-cent pieces rolled off the presses each day. From the outside, everything seemed efficient, precise, expected. But no system is flawless. And amid the efficiency, an error escaped. Miles away, in Pittsburgh, a college student named Andre was rolling coins to deposit into his account. He had no collector's background, just a habit of counting change and saving small amounts. But one nickel caught his attention. At first, it looked just worn. But then, he saw something that made him stop. The steps of Monticello were almost invisible, not from wear, but from a weak strike. The letters on the reverse seemed thin, distorted, and shallow. Even the word Monticello looked misshapen, with a C and second L barely raised above the surface. He flipped the coin. Jefferson's face was soft, with loss of detail around the cheekbone and jawline. The word Liberty looked stretched. But what stood out most was the P min-mark. It wasn't just off-center. It was tilted, slightly rotated as though punched in at the wrong angle. He weighed the coin, 4.92 grams. Slightly underweight, enough to raise suspicion. He set it aside without knowing just how rare it really was. Months passed. Andre kept the nickel out of curiosity. A few years later, after reading a blog post about rare modern nickels, he remembered it and decided to investigate. He posted images on a numismatic forum. The response was immediate. Several collectors responded with excitement. Some noted signs of a struck-through grease error, where debris blocks parts of the die, weakening the strike. Others believe the planchet itself may have been defective or incomplete. But the real conversation centered on the min-mark. A seasoned collector pointed out that the 2000p nickel had a known, albeit incredibly rare, variant, where the P min-mark was misaligned or doubled due to die deterioration or incorrect positioning during the die creation process. A few examples had been confirmed by grading services, and those that showed sharp error features were commanding thousands in auctions. Encouraged, Andre sent his coin for grading. The result came back with terms that shifted the coin from curiosity to collector's dream: partial strike-through, weakly struck reverse, rotated min-mark, and underweight. The grade? MS64 with full documentation of the anomalies. Word spread in online coin communities. A handful of other 2000p nickels surfaced with similar traits. Some showed obverse doubling. Others had the tilted P or signs of clashed dies. But what made Andre's coin particularly important was the combination of these factors. The more elements in play, the more desirable the coin became. Collectors began scouring rolls of 2000 nickels. Coin shops pulled old inventory and checked for subtle strike errors. While most finds were minor, every now and then another outlier emerged. A coin in Ohio had a partial blockage, part of Jefferson's face flattened against the edge of the coin. Another in Texas had a ghost image of Monticello appearing beneath the obverse, likely from a misaligned die clash. The most startling twist came when one 2000p nickel was discovered to have been struck on a clad planchet mint for a dime. It weighed just 2.3 grams. Though clearly smaller and suspicious in hand, it bore the full Jefferson design, compressed and distorted. That coin sold privately for over $94,000. It was proof that even in modern minting, with all its safeguards, major errors still occurred and could go undetected for years. What makes the 2000p nickel so fascinating isn't just one glaring mistake. It's the range of anomalies possible from that year: weak strikes, tilted mint marks, misaligned dies, planchet flaws, and even wrong metal strikes. Each one tells a slightly different story, but all lead back to a year most collectors originally ignored. Andre's nickel was eventually sold to a private collector who specialized in mint mark varieties. The final price was never disclosed publicly, but rumors place it well above $40,000. For a coin plucked from spare change, it had transformed into a trophy. Collectors now approach the 2000p Jefferson nickel with new eyes. What once seemed like a standard issue from the turn of the millennium is now a symbol of unexpected rarity. Every minor deviation, every smudged letter or misplaced mint mark is now examined with suspicion and hope. Today, depending on the error type, strike condition, and grade, the 2000p US 5 cents Jefferson nickel can command anywhere from $9,000 to $107,000. It's a sharp reminder that rarity doesn't always come from age, and sometimes, even the newest coins carry secrets worth uncovering.